Hello, welcome to Cypress Automation. This is Shoreful. From this lecture, we're going to start a brand new project based on BDD Framework or Behavior Driven Framework with following Page Object Model Design. As you know, we have a separate tutorial which is based on Page Object Model Design using Cypress recommended framework, which is Mocha. So you can see our channels, and we have a separate project which is using based on Page Object Model with the Mocha framework. But since it's in Agile methodologies, BDD or Behavior Driven Development Framework is very famous in Agile industry. So it's good to have a separate project which is following BDD frameworks. We will see that how we can implement BDD framework following Page Object Model Design. So in this lecture, we're going to see first what is BDD framework, why is it is popular, why what kind of benefits it can bring us to. So let's see some very basic and theoretical definition about the BDD framework. So first, what is BDD or Behavior Driven Development? So this is a development method which is evolved from the test driven development process. So we know this TDD framework, right? So if you're a test engineer, so you are or automation developer, you are pretty familiar with this TDD development. So BDD, it comes from, you can say that it's the subset, or it's evolved from the TDD framework. So it means whatever the benefits you can come across from TDD, BDD also give you the similar benefit. On the top, there's some extra advantages. We'll discover what's the advantages. So BDD Behavior Driven Development is mostly about technical insight and business knowledge. So why it's a BDD framework, why you use it? So this is a simple definition, and probably you don't understand that part, business knowledge. The BDD framework is mostly about technical insight. So technical insight, we all know we're talking about the technical part or coding part for your automation framework that we use in TDD. But what is the business knowledge? How the framework can help you to show you or give you the clear idea about business knowledge or your business requirement, right? So that's the BDD comes to the picture. So BDD give you the both information, not only technical knowledge, technical insight, but also give you the business knowledge. So here is a question: why use BDD framework? So before the BDD framework, everyone was using TDD. Still people are using TDD. So TDD works fine in software development provided the stakeholders are familiar with the framework being used and their technical knowledge is sufficient. However, this may not be the always case. It means whoever using TDD, your client, to understand the framework, understand the test coverage, you need to be very technical, tech savvy. You have to understand the code, all those things in TDD framework. So all the clients are not such kind of like tech savvy, have the deep dive knowledge about the TDD framework or coding inside information. So you may have a client who doesn't have that kind of knowledge. He just knows what he wants, and he knows he can read the English language, all those things, his requirement. So how your client, that kind of client, will verify that whatever the test coverage requirement to develop his project, it's doing as it's supposed to by the dev team, by the testing team. So that's why again BDD comes to the picture. So BDD provides a path that acts as a bridge to overcome the gap between the technical and non-technical teams, because the test cases are commonly written in English language following BDD framework. The main advantages of BDD is the plain and clear approach, which is easier to understand. So it means whatever the requirement or test coverage need for a project, for a client, it will be written in very English language, plain English language. So in TDD, your all test cases will be written by the code. In BDD, it also written by the code, but before that it will be write the test cases in a plain English language, and behind the scene, according to the plain English language, there will be code. So your technical person, which is if your client is a non-technical, he doesn't need to go to the coding part. He can easily just read the English language and easily can understand all the scenarios or test coverage. So that's why it's saying over here, it's minimize, it's overcome the gap between technical and non-technical client or stakeholders. So how the BDD format to written in test cases. So when you write a test cases following BDD format, what's it looks like? So it is a very simple approach. You can say it's English. Here is in one example. It's you can say it's a syntax of BDD format. It's given, when, then, approach. So BDD format, simply you can say given, when, then, approach. So it's those are the keyword they use to write the test cases, just simply. Okay, and then now how they write it using this keyword. So given, like when you will have a given option like this, and then what would be the part of the given? So given, it means you are giving some precondition, giving some context to start your test case. So this is your precondition. So given is the precondition phase, and when is the some action. So when you have fill up your precondition, start your test cases, so you do some action, right? You perform some action. So your action part will be part of your when block, or not the block, when keyword, right? And then at the end of your action, you expect some outcome, some result. Your result would be underneath of then part. So this is the three keyword. It's follow the BDD framework, and in these three keyword, you can see this is a three phase, and every phase, you have some English written. You are going to write some English written, plain English sentence. So let's see some example. So this is the format. Okay, this is the format. You can say it's example syntax. Okay, BDD format syntax. So now, where this format, where this format written in our test cases when you write some automation. Okay, the place or the file, it will be written in a file. The file is going to be written down this BDD format or BDD approach. It's called a feature file. So feature file is a specific file in your automation project where you are going to write your BDD approach. Here is some one example, sample of features file. So feature file, so it will start with feature, one feature keyword, where you are going to just write, say you can consider feature is like your test suite. So you are going to say, example, login function of Gmail application. So we're going to we create a separate feature file, one feature file that will have all the different test cases related to Gmail login function. Okay, so this is your test suite. You can see example, you consider this is the feature phase is your test suite. Now it will have a scenario. The scenario, it means your test cases, individual test cases, it's called scenario part. So it will have a scenario keyword, and then you are going to write like a title of your test case. Example, as a valid user, I should be able to log in to Gmail. So assume that this is your positive test case for your login application, for a login Gmail application. So this is your first scenario. In a feature file, you may have a multiple scenario. It's up to you how many scenario you're gonna write, because this is one function, and in one function you may have some positive test case and some negative test case. It's up to you. So we're just showing one example, one simple scenario, so which is a valid user. As a valid user, you are able to log into Gmail. So what would be the your what would be the your BDD actual phase or syntax like this. So under the scenario you will write given, when, then. So given, as I said, it's the precondition to start your test case. So what do you need to start your test? So definitely you need to navigate to the Gmail login page or gmail.com, right? So that's your precondition to start your test case. And after that, what would be your action? Your action would be underneath the when phase, when keyword. So you will say user need to enter username, so whatever the valid username, and the password, as this is your password. So this is your action. And what do you expect then? Then user is successfully navigate to the Gmail mailbox. So that's your outcome. So you may have a more than you may have a action more than one step of actions, action, right? So in that time you can use and. So like you can use and keyword to add more and more actions. Similarly, any step, any phase like your when and then can have a multiple steps. So that time you can use and keyword and adding more your outcome or adding more your action. Okay, so here is the example. So your feature, so that's your feature, which is your test suite. Your scenario is your test case, and then you're gonna write this way. Okay, well, I will give you very quick one also live real example. And now how this feature file connect with the actual test case. So we have to understand, we'll have a separate file, it's called feature file, where we're going to write this plain English language, and where we'll have our test suite, as well as we'll have our different test scenarios or test cases. So but where is the actual code, how this test scenarios will execute? Definitely we have to write the code, right? Behind there will be somewhere you have to write the code, and those code have to link with your all the steps, all the phase we're giving, like given. So this is something like you have to do for the given part, and then when you have to do something. So the code for the actual code, where there will be way to link with your each and every phase over here following BDD format, it's called step definition file. So there will be another file, there will be another spec file which is called step definition file, where you are going to write your actual code. So your client, he doesn't need to know, or he doesn't need to go through your actual test real code like step definition code. He can just go through this feature file and easily can see what scenarios you are covering, what is not, because each and every line over here is have a code, and also will be linked behind the scene on through the step definition file. So here is an example. You can see it's based on a Java step definition file. So you can see there is a class, and where you're using given, and you will have the code over here, right? And here is a when. So each and how is going to connect, whatever the given you are saying over here, like user is navigate to Gmail login page, it have to be exactly the same line over here under your given part, right, in your step definition. So when you run the your test cases, your project, it will execute this feature file, and in the feature file there will be link with between this feature file and step definition file, and it will go through each and every this phase like given, when, then. So when it will go through given, it will also look another given in your step definition file, and it will also match with the same sentence you have on your feature file. So your feature file and step definition file will have the same sentence, so it have to be exactly the same. If there is a space over here, it have to be space also, so that it can match, it can detect, and it can align between these two files. And then so it will understand, okay, this is the actual code for this given part. So it will read the code and also do the execution whatever is there. So it's like a, you have a function over here. So similarly it will follow the same same for the when keyword as well as the then keyword. So whatever the keyword you are using, given, when, then, all of the the keyword will have the code following the same sentence in your step definition file. And that's the way your actual feature file gets executed and do the job through the step definition file. So that's the the part or linking or communication between this step definition or as well as your feature file. Now, so this is the overall the frameworks, how it works, all those things. So now see some actual benefits of BDD framework. So number one, coverage of user stories. If you are working on agile methodologies, most of our companies now, it's more than 90% company I would say in our industry is following agile methodologies. So if you work in agile, in agile you are very familiar with user stories. So it's user stories is all about your requirement, your business requirement, right? All those things. So it's cover your user stories. So due to its easy concept of plain text in the form of feature files, allows the stakeholders of technical resource to write the scenarios in working language. You will understand working language. Working language is the same thing is we are talking about plain language, like we use given, when, then approach. So that's the working language. Specifically you can say one of the tool which is work to implement the BDD framework, because BDD is the framework, so you need a supporting tool to implement that framework. So there is a lot of tools in the market. I will give some example, but Cucumber is one of them, and Cucumber use working language to implement BDD framework, which is nothing, it's a plain English language which is follow the same approach like given, when, then approach, right? So anyways, so it's saying to written the scenarios in working language using the user stories. So the compatibility of the plain text helps to gain maximum coverage of testing. So it's in one simple sentence we can say it's give you the coverage of user stories, because user stories written in English language, and also your BDD framework also or feature file is written in English language. So it can easily cover, we can easily match apple to apple, as well as nowadays even the PO product owner or client, they write their user stories following the BDD framework. Okay, so you as a tester, you don't have to even write the BDD framework like this the given, when approach. They already write write their user stories following this approach. So you just follow the approach, whatever the test scenarios or coverage, user stories, you write the test case according to that. So that's one of the, so it's like you are covering 100% user stories as per the product owner or client's requirement. So feature file containing scenarios are, so what's the information feature files contains? As we have seen, it's a defined user stories from the business, criteria for the developers to determine if a specification meets business requirement, test scenarios for the test team, right? Shell cover for an automation tester, which allows them to separately write their code in step definition files, right? And explain test scenarios for a stakeholder, and which is very easy, right, to explain it because of this plain plain English language. The classification of this step definition helps the automation tester to keep his code untouched, which thereby it helps to maintains very easily the script. right? Because the stakeholders or non-technical person, they don't have to worry, they don't have to deep dive on the code. So the code is always untouched and it's easily maintains, and it's much easier to help to maintains easily. Number 2, the clarity of scenarios. So Gherkin language or the BDD approach uses plain text that is focused on the outcome of the product which is being tested or developed using BDD. So as feature files separate the technical description in the different test definition file for automation tester, it's smartly helps a non-technical person to understand the automate test easily. Any updates can be implemented in a small discussion. So as we said, so it's all about the plain English language, the feature file. So is there any, so easily can understand by the non-technical person, and even if some changes need to update, easily they can reconfirm that the change has been updated or not in our test coverage, because they can just read the feature file and they can easily find out that okay, that the new changes or new requirement has been updated or not. Number 3, code reuse in framework. So given when then approach gives freedom, give liberty to the tester to use the same step as many times we want in the feature file, which gradually helps in saving the time for the automation tester. Even though BDD framework, that's possible, like you can write some utility functions and or reusable code, reusable function, and you can call those functions whenever you need. You keep it as a like a public static function, right? So in BDD framework, that's possible too, right? Over here, you can reuse the this feature files, the given when then approach. So because your test cases is linked with this part, with this given when then phase, right? So as an example, let's see, there's a scenario 1 here. Is saying assume that okay, the given part is user is navigate to the Google home page, then when part is user search Cucumber in the search engine, and then part clicked on the search button, and then again there is an end part after this then, so is the user can see the search result for Cucumber in the web browser. So this is scenario 1, to search Cucumber word in a Google search engine, right? The scenario 2, user is navigate to the Google home page, and when user search Selenium, in this case in scenario 2 is Selenium, search in the search engine, and then click on the search button, and user can see the search result for Selenium in the web browser. In these two scenario, if you notice that it's most of the steps are same, it's repeated. It's like given, it's the same given over here for the scenario 2. When over here you just, it's the same action, but it just you are searching Cucumber, and over here you are searching Selenium, and then it's same, you're clicking search button, here is also you're clicking search button, and here the last part outcome is you're seeing the result related to Selenium, you're searching result for Selenium to Cucumber, right? So here is the sum of the part are repeating, like given is the same, it's repeated. Even when it's repeated, you can write your code in such a way, like your function, so that you can just call the same function for the to reuse over here for scenario 2. You just maybe you can just pass the argument, like you create your function such a way, give some parameter, and then when you call the function for to reuse for another scenario, you just pass the argument. Here you will pass the Cucumber argument, here you will going to pass the Selenium argument. So that's the way, and it's the like given part is exactly the same. So you don't have to write any code again, you just call the same, it will automatically call the same function for to cover this given part for scenario 2. So see just the benefits, and the more you can use your reusable code, your framework is gonna be take less time, and the script will be much faster. Okay, And next is parameterization in feature file. A user can parameterize the gherkin steps, which is the the given when then steps in a feature file to obtain reusability in the file. For example, if a user is working on a bank application where he logs in the application again and again, such kind of steps could be parameterized with a different set of data, and it saves time for the tester. So we know this is the banking application. You may have to test your logging application, login function for a banking application with the different sets of data. Different sets of it means it could be valid, invalid, both are invalid, both are valid sets of data, could be empty even. So all this is a different sets of data to test the same function. So it means, but you don't want to write the same function again and again for providing the different sets of data. In this case, while running this type of scenarios, the user has to define the feature file steps in such a way so that the user can use the common functionality easily. Again, it's the same things like I explained over here in scenario 1 and 2. So you can write your function in such a way so that it's like a common function, so that you can just pass your different sets of data as your argument, so you can use as many times as you need, other than writing the same function again and again. So that's the benefit or call use case of parameterization in feature file. So in BDD tools, so now it's the question is like how many what type of tools can help you or are available in the market to implement this BDD framework. So behavior driven is very smart approach in agile methodologies. It is always recommended to start either your development or testing using BDD, as using it gives you a platform to work independently with the different technology. It means the different technology, it means different language. Okay, there are lots of tools are available in the market to implement BDD framework, such as Cucumber, EasyB, ZDeb. It's in fact it's using JUnit, so JUnit following the Java language. So this is a specifically BDD tool that's based on JUnit and Java, and JVHAB and so on. But Cucumber is one of the best tools which helps implement the behavior driven development approach in the software project. This allow us to work with many technologies, such as this Cucumber, it's a tool. Okay, BDD is a framework. That's one of the very segregate and very clear information. And this Cucumber support any language, whatever the code you write to to communicate, to establish your BDD frameworks. So your code would be based on language. So Cucumber support any language, most of the languages like Java, Python, so JavaScript and so on. So Cucumber language. Now it's a Cucumber, the tools that's help you to implement BDD framework. So it has its own language which is called gherkin language. Gherkin language is nothing, it's a simple plain English words. It's a similar, it follows the same approach, same thing, like given when then approach. So it's this approach, it's can established by the Cucumber gherkin language, helped by the Cucumber gherkin language. Okay, I'm going to now I'm going to show you a very quick one example. Okay, so here is the how it looks like. So here is you can see the feature files have to be extension with the dot features over here. Okay, so and this is the way it's written, and the code behind the scene, it's you can see there is another step definition. It's called over here. I'm sorry, it's a step definition. It's over here. Okay, this is the actual code over here. And since we're saying our project will be based on page object model, so page object model, it means you will have the separate class for a specific page for the same page over here. Okay, and then so you will have all the function and element related to your page object, and this from this class your step definition will write the gherkin, the approach like given when then, and following the same sentence over here, and also it will call the function, all the required function from your page object. We will have a in details project. I just give you a very quick glance. Okay, so that's all about the BDD framework, and stay tuned. We're going to have a very interesting project. Have a good one. Bye bye.